on your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell out before you blow up a plane.
30 seconds remaining.
But you know, it's good to say I doubt people stand up to something. I haven't been disrespectful to you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean. Oh, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. We're on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Rumble, Rockfin, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, while they allow me. Who knows? I feel like my days are numbered with Facebook. Before I bring on our fabulous guest, I have a couple of comedy dates to quickly promote. Guys, I'm going to be in Minnesota in just a matter of weeks. This is a big deal for me. I've never been to Minnesota. I don't know what you guys are even famous for. I can't wait to have all the local Minnesota delicacies, if there are any. Please, if you are in Minnesota, come see me in 2 weeks. I'll be headlining the Great River Bowl and Partners Pub in Sartell, Minnesota. Lila Hart will be featuring for me, and Nick Rekieta will be our special guest. I'll be on Long Island October 27th and 28th, back at the Brokerage Comedy Club out on Strong Island. I don't know why I said that with a Pittsburgh accent. It'll come back to me after a few drinks for sure. Then I'm back in Florida. I'm headlining the Tampa Side Splitters Comedy Club Sunday, December 3rd. Love a Florida moment. Love you crazy, kinky Tampa people. Can't wait to go back. Then I'll be in San Diego January 5th and 6th at the Mic Drop Comedy Club doing 3 shows. And I'll be adding more dates. For tickets, go to ChrissieMayr.com. Please and thank you. And as always, if you have venue suggestions, tweet at them, tweet at me, tag me. I'm not above. I'll perform anywhere. You guys know this. I'll perform in a storage unit. Okay. I'll go wherever they'll have me. Our guest today is a comic. I get very excited when I have comics on because it's like when a runner sees another runner and you do this nod, it's like a mutual understanding. I feel that way when I meet another stand-up comic. He's super based, lives in Toronto, holding down the freedom of speech fort in Toronto. So happy he's here with me today. Mr. Ben Bankas, hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good to see you. I love the snake plant in the background. You're giving me like doctor's waiting room vibes.
Yeah, I haven't decorated properly.
It's okay. You're a man. If that was like well lit, well decorated, I would be like questioning your sexuality. So it's all good. I first heard of you, Ben. I saw a clip on Twitter, which really grabbed me. I'm going to find it and play it right now. It was a clip of you with your phone on speaker, and you were talking to a venue, a theater, and they were basically explaining why they can't or won't have you on. I'm going to bring that up right now and play it for the people, and then you will give us context, because I heard this and I was like, yep, I've had this conversation quite a few times. Let me present.
Even in the US that happens, but like probably the same kind of places. Like
it really is. It really is. It's here we go.
Yeah, I think this might be a pretty good indicator that we might not be the right fit for you. Just that being said,
because you're not free speech. I don't understand.
No, I'm just from the way that you're speaking to it, I'm concerned that you may not.
You guys are basically what you guys are saying is you're more of a left-leaning place, and you don't want to have anybody who's not left-leaning there, right?
For lack of a better way of putting it, sure, you can say that.
Is that like? Is there like? a reason, or like even if we sold out, like wouldn't you guys make a bunch of money? So like, why would it matter?
Yeah, so we're a nonprofit organization.
Okay, that makes sense.
That way for 30 years.
That's fine. No, I'd rather have it this way than like, because if you book it and then you're like, oh my god, this guy's this or that or whatever, and then you pull the rug, and then it's just gonna be stupid. So I don't want to. I don't want to be in that situation.
We're not looking to pull the rug out on you, but
Ugh.
that being said,
Okay, so set this up. I should have had you set this clip up for me before playing it. But so who were you on the line with? What were you trying to make happen here?
So I was just trying to book a show in, I think that was actually in Saskatoon. So, like, if in Canada, like the way I book shows, like I have a bit of a following, so I'll just try to, do it at like a theater potentially, like if that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to do theaters. Like we did a few theaters this year. And sometimes we do comedy clubs, which like Yuck Yucks particularly is usually really cool with us doing shows there, and they don't give a shit what I say or who I make fun of or whatever. But basically in Canada, every theater venue, like I'll go online and just go, what comedy shows are going on in this town? And it'll be like, oh, it's at this place. So I'll give them a shout. And yeah, they'll just basically like, that was me being really nice to those people, obviously.
Very nice. Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm Canadian, so your fans are like, holy shit,
It's
this guy's
in
gonna
your
fucking
blood.
Yeah, but it was also kind of I'd already been in situations where it wasn't nice, or where basically I booked a show and didn't tell them anything, and most of these places are like ran by very dumb people, so they don't even look at they're just like, yeah, let's just do it. Like they don't even know they're offended yet until
Right.
like 2 weeks before the show, when somebody sends them a clip or something, and they're like, oh my god, this is the guy, and then they like pull the rug. So that's what I was trying to avoid, just because sometimes it's cool, and it's gotten me a lot of attention by having shows get canceled, and then like we had Jordan Peterson retweet that we had a show being canceled, and a couple other
wow.
people. Gad Sad, I mean, they're Canadian, but they've been on the circuit in the States, and they have a big following, so they that garners attention, and different news outlets here in Canada that kind of reported it, that are more kind of free speech outlets. Yourself getting a glass of water right now.
And it's interesting what you were saying, because I'm starting to get to that point in my career too, where I'm kind of in between. I don't have any management. I'm almost at the level where I would rent out a theater instead of because a lot of comedy clubs just I feel like don't want to go near me, and because of my political opinions, or I don't know. So
what are your opinions?
it's just like yours, just literally like for free speech, and we should be able to make fun of any group
Isn't that
we
like
want, or any person, or anything, or any
right?
movement, or religion, which is the trans movement is the latest religion that we're all worshiping. And yeah, and then I voted for Trump. Semi recently only really came around on him in like 2018 or so. But I went to January 6th and I voted for Trump, and I'm part of Compound Media, so like that makes me, I guess, ostracized. But
Well, you could still do all those things. You just don't have to tell anybody.
Tell anybody? Like, oh, right. But here's the thing: is when I have something go viral, or I announce a show, and let's say I have pissed off a group of people, they will, like similar to you, contact that venue and be like, "Here's this clip, or here's this article, or did you know that?" I mean, there was a group of people who tried to cancel a show I did in Buffalo, like upstate New York here, saying I was having a racist party, that I was throwing a racist party. I'm like, okay.
I mean, well, part of it is that I mean, actually, I think it's like American culture to do that, and because all the people that canceled my shows in Canada were from the States, believe it or not, which is crazy. But like, it was crazy for me that a lot of the people messaging venues being like, "This man is a piece of shit," like they're all American.
And they're not even comedy lovers or consumers.
But it's good to have people like that, because those people, like, you have, like, you can't like I like those people. Like, thank you to those people because
You
they
actually
do a
like
lot of
people
work.
trying to cancel your shows?
It's like, when you think of like an Indian call center and there's just like 100 Indian guys who go like hello, and like they're fucking calling people. That's basically what like having haters is, because they're just all day, they're just online like talking about you, whatever. It's like, great, fucking be pissed off. You're doing, and yeah, okay, a venue doesn't want to book me, great. That the tweet is gonna get more fucking views or
True.
whatever than people that are even in that fucking venue, and then next thing you know, you're at a better venue, or you sell out a smaller venue twice.
True.
But
You have a really good attitude about it.
I think that you should still rent out venues, like especially like if you're in the States, there's so many places that you could probably be like $500, $700, but you make like 20 grand or whatever.
Right, and that's why the theater is a more attractive option than, say, a comedy club. Like, we love a comedy club, they've got their own security. People know they have to buy 2 drinks. There's a sense of decorum in a comedy club. It's good. You can maybe, get in more
Sometimes
at
it's more
comedy clubs,
fun.
but yeah.
I think it's more fun sometimes when you're in a club. It can be for your fans and stuff, but it's a different experience when they see you in larger venues. Like, so we just had Andrew Schultz at Scotiabank Arena, which is Toronto's big arena, and it was, I think it's a big deal. It was a big deal for Toronto because he kind of became on the map in Toronto as a Toronto figure, even though he's from New York, was on some of our bigger Instagram channels doing his bits would go viral in there and stuff like that. So, but like the same people who would go see him at a small club, go see him at a big venue. It's a different experience. But if they went to a small club, they'd be like, it was kind of more fun, right? Because
Right.
they're up close. But um, but comics
Yeah.
we have to, we can't do 1,000 shows in a small venue.
Yeah, there was a clip where you showed Andrew, he was, jumping on your show, like, doing a guest spot or a drop-in or whatever, and it was pretty funny because you were like, "Oh," you're like, "Alright, no big deal. I'm the one who sold out the room, but sure, let's give Andrew Schultz some time." I laughed. It was really funny because 'cause you're in this position, it's like, whether you like the guy or not, it's like, yeah, you have to. It's the right thing to do is to give the bigger guy or the celebrity drop-in, a spot, sure. It's good. It generates good buzz, and he's cool enough, and
I think it's important. I think spending money on filming things is important because you never know what's going to happen, and then something happens, and then it's like, good. Now we can kind of show people cool stuff happening because
absolutely. You
if
gotta
you're
tape
like
every set.
comics might see that, especially like New York comics, and be like, oh well, he's dropped on 1,000,000 shows. Yeah, but it's Canada. Nobody fucking comes here. It's it's exciting for people who are from Toronto to be like, oh my god, somebody that I recognize from America is dropping in. Whereas in New York, it's just like every day, right? I mean, I'm assuming at certain comedy clubs or in LA.
And not only that, people like to see an inside look into the world, the backstage experience, the nerves before a show, what real comics say to each other before a show, after a show, the joke, like he went off stage and you're like, oh yeah, he's got a gay haircut. It's those little moments that really give people a glimpse of like what the business is really about. And there is a huge benefit to doing theater shows because of what you said. You can make more money, but sometimes with the comedy clubs, some of them, they'll only book their kind of stable or their farm of comics. And if you're not in that farm, it's going to be harder to get in. But again, like all of this shit is hard, none of this is guaranteed. So you got to just work for everything you have, and every room that you can book is a blessing, and just do your best trying to fill it up. I'm just so grateful to be here. I want to talk about your experience. You mentioned on a previous interview, Just for Laughs is a huge comedy festival that happens in Montreal every year. It used to be the be all end all, the biggest deal possible for a comedian. I know you started at 19. I don't know what year that was, but I started in like
2011.
Okay, that's when I started too, like 2010, 2011. And I remember at that time, JFL was like the peak, the biggest thing you could possibly do. Getting into JFL means you had made it as a comedian, that your career was set. You would get on that, and then you'd get on a late night show, and then you'd get your management, and then you'd go on the road, and you'd be set. Or maybe you'd get a sitcom, or maybe you'd get a.
They would do pilots. Like a lot Canadian comics used to talk. Like when I first started at Yuck Yucks, like they would tell me those stories. Like in 2006, I went down to Just for Laughs and did a 7-minute spot. They gave me $300,000 and fucking go to LA for 3 months.
That's all you needed to do to be set for life. I did a type 5.
They would make a pilot. They pay them like $400,000, and then they never air it, and they would never have the rights to it, and nobody ever sees it, and it's just buried in some bunker somewhere in like Warner Brothers studio. But that was before social media. And now, I mean, going kind of linking it with why we were talking about theaters is because the government in Canada gives some incentives / like they, especially with COVID and then the theaters being closed, and they help those theaters by basically giving grants and different government incentives so that they stay open, so that we have any theaters. It's subsidized, right? It's like the art is subsidized. So then it becomes, we have these anti-harassment, blah, blah, blah. They come up with these crazy terms for whatever these, companies are, even Just for Laughs might have that, like harm reduction policies. And,
let's see. That's really interesting.
And they also, reduction. I don't know if Just for Laughs has it, but the actual venues, like if the venue that the shows are at, if it's a theater, might have like, we're on the sacred land of whatever, the Oceanabe, or like some like native thing, which is fine, cool. But then it's basically, you can't, that means if you don't have censored views, you can't perform here, or you don't have left-leaning views, you can't perform here. So it actually does harm comics like me in Canada, at least, because then I can make more money. I mean, which is obviously, it's like, oh yeah, you could make, but you can still do your show. Yeah, but they're just taking money out of my pocket, and then the government is then taxing me on the money that I'm making at a show that they won't let me do a show and make more money at the place that my government funds are going to fucking keep open. That's the crazy part.
So you're on the Just for Laughs radio, but they won't have you on the festival. Is that correct?
That is right. So like Just for Laughs, yeah, they put me on the radio because it's ran by a different thing. But I had a Just for Laughs guy that I actually had hired at the time, a publicist. And I was like, I talked to him. I killed at a Just for Laughs showcase in Toronto. And it was like a packed show, and I went up last. I went up like 13th and fucking smashed it. And then talked to the guy, introduced, my publicist, like she was going back and forth with him, and then, she got him to come to the table about it, and then he was like, oh well, I don't know if he can sell out Montreal. So then I did a show in Montreal at the same place that Just for Laughs was doing a show. They probably wouldn't have had me, but probably realized, too little, like the day of that I was offensive. So they're like, let's just sweep this one under the rug and get it over with. And then they make a killing too, which is fucked up. But yeah. So then he came to that show and watched me do the sold out show, and then was like, yeah, his fans are really, there's something. And then like, what do you mean there's something? It's Montreal. They all speak fucking 3 languages. They're just
Canadians.
Yeah. They're just regular fucking people. Oh, they're the same people who buy tickets to go to see Andrew Schultz, which was a Just for Laughs event. Which he also did a joke. He just posted a joke that was on my special from 3 years ago or whatever.
Oh, that happens. Mark Norman did a joke that I.
But it was like an easy joke. It was about just. Yeah. I used to do a joke about just Tinder True Dinder. I called Trudeau that, Justin Trudeau, because he did black dress up in the turban or whatever. He did he just said just Tinder, and people, my fans are like, oh my god, he stole your joke. I'm like, no, it's just the same joke, kind of, but not really, and it's like 3 years apart. So, if anything, it makes me go, oh, good, my joke would work at the ACC.
Right.
That's how I always have to look at things positively in comedy, because so many comics are very negative, and they're just like, oh well, he took my I don't even do that joke. Good. Maybe Andrew could send me little guest spot next time.
That's a really good way to look at it. I had to call Mark Normand out
It's
because
like
I
it's
opened
like
for
Pokemon
him.
cards. Jokes are like Pokemon cards. You just trade them.
Yeah, so you want to get a shiny. So one of my friends just sent me the code of conduct for Just for Laughs. Let's see. This is very interesting. I wonder if they have anything in here.
Here we go.
It's okay. Just for Laughs is committed to providing a safe space for everyone attending our events and productions. Just for Laughs activities must be exempt of abusive, inappropriate, or provocative behaviors. It's comedy. Everyone participating in Just for Laughs events must treat artists, patrons, and employees with equality, respect, and dignity, no matter their gender, sexual identity, sexual orientation. I'm all down for that. Treat people with respect. I feel like that's a given. You don't have to put that in a policy.
What that translates to is you can't say retard, or you can't say certain, or you can't make. If you make a joke, we're gonna raise an eyebrow, and maybe you shouldn't be doing that because
Right.
like that's kind of what I think. I read. That's what I mean. Keep reading it.
You can't jokingly, call someone a fag. You can't, nothing. JFL adopts a zero tolerance policy on harassment in all its forms, whether it's verbal comments, actions, or gestures that are repeated and hostile that affect a person's dignity or psychological or physical integrity, which is completely up to however sensitive that person is and could probably be literally anything. Nothing in this.
Sorry, I hate to interrupt, but that's one thing I like about Schultz, or love about Schultz, is that he, when he told a story about this, but I don't know if he still does this when he does Just for Laughs, but when he first did it, or one of those times, they were like, you have to stick to the script, and you have to say this exact thing, or else, like, whatever. And then he just went on and just went off and did whatever he wanted and got like a standing O. And
That's
people
great.
were like, we love it. And then they were like, they didn't say anything. They're like, good job, because they're like, oh, okay, as long as you're making us money at the end of the day. But they have to, all corporations have these like bullshit things in there, and same with all the venues too. The larger venues.
They have to cover their asses so that the woke minority mob doesn't come for their bag, I guess.
What's really sick about it is, like, there was a venue that canceled me in London, Ontario, I think it was, and so many people went and rated their thing. Their rating went from like 4.6 to 4.3 on Google or something, which is my fans doing it, right? And I'm
Right.
not condoning that. But
yeah, you're not telling them to go do that. You're not encouraging it.
But once they do it, then I looked, like, somebody sent me like, oh, they're back to 4.6, and all the comments are gone on Google. So it's like, so what are you afraid of having me there, that you're going to get bad reviews or bad comments on Google, that if you get bad comments from the other side, you're just willing to delete them and not even address them? But, oh, if we got two people who said that, oh, I'm from the transgender community and I don't like this fucking shit, that's worth more than 70 people. Like, it doesn't make, that's what kind of upset me.
Right. It totally depends. Like, is this coming from a group who has the right political opinions or the wrong political opinions? And they will delete accordingly. Nothing in this policy may be interpreted as a barrier to artistic freedom. Okay, so that seems hypocritical and going against what they're saying and how they're booking. In addition, if you are the victim or a witness of a prohibited act under this code of conduct involving an artist or an employee of JFL, or you wish to raise a concern, please email this email. JFL will ensure they assess the situation and act accordingly. Please remember that notifying JFL does not constitute or replace a notification to local law enforcement. So if someone tells a joke on stage that triggers and upsets you, JFL is encouraging you, it sounds like, to report it to the cops. Call 911.
That is so fucked up. I don't even think I've ever read this whole thing. Scroll up for a second. The craziest part is the first thing you read. Nothing in this policy may be interpreted as a barrier to art. What does that even mean? It's just like, you are not allowed to interpret this as a barrier. What if it is a barrier? It clearly is.
Right. You're letting.
But it's okay. But that's the shitty part for Canadian comics, is that, like, I'm a Canadian comic who works my ass off. I'm touring the country, and they're like, no, we won't recognize that, and you can't come. even though, but we'll recognize American comics and we won't censor them, and they won't have to adhere to this. Basically,
Again, it's like you
which
have to
is
be big enough and make
which is
them enough
fine. I
money
understand
for them
that,
to bend their rules. Yeah,
and I understand that, and I
it's
understand that.
hypocritical.
Yeah, but I understand it. I just don't think. I think it sucks because the fucking festival's funded by Canadian tax dollars, and they're
Wow.
like giving it. From my understanding, and tell me if I'm wrong, but my understanding. Just for Laughs gets money from the government, a ton of money from the government. Obviously, they do from advertisers and all that stuff too. But the other stuff's subsidized from the government, and then they're just giving like Canadian tax dollars in the form of USD to American comics. Like it's
Ugh.
crazy to me that they don't. And like, I'm pretty sure the most that any Canadian comic made at Just for Laughs is like maybe $5,000,
Oh,
maybe
wow. Okay.
Canadian, which is like 4,200.
Who knows what that is in real money? I'll
Yeah.
keep reading this. Just for Laughs is committed to providing a safe space for everyone attending our events to ensure that everyone has an outstanding experience at this event. Here are a few tips and friendly reminders. JFL promotes and advocates for respect, but I guess respecting the artists to tell whatever fucking jokes they want. Treat artists, fellow patrons, and employees with equality, respect, and dignity, no matter their gender, sexual identity, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, race, or religion. They're mentioning their zero tolerance policy on harassment again. JFL reserves the right to ask anyone not adhering to the policy to leave the premises. I wonder if that includes comics. But you know what? They wouldn't even book a comic that would get to this point where they'd have to, they're not
I
going to
mean,
book.
some of it makes sense. Like, obviously, you don't want comics going nuts or like being like mental patients, but that's not
Sure.
what they're saying. They could easily be like, keep drinking, like make sure you don't get too fucked up or whatever. But like this, but I mean, I don't really even like I said, they don't. Even if I were to get in, just like I did a show. The show that Andrew Schultz came to was during the Just for Laughs in Toronto festival. And he came and he did a spot, and I sold out the show. And there was no other Canadian comics, to my knowledge, that did any like Just for Laugh shows where they just like sold out their own show and had their own crowd there. None.
No, because
So
if you're at that level, you don't need the festival. You can already
no,
fill your own room. The point of Just for Laughs is
yeah,
if you're a fresh face, if you're a new comic and maybe all you have is a good 5 or 10 minutes, it's so you can get eyeballs on you and maybe get representation and get opportunities. But like the comedy industry has changed so much that if you have the wrong political opinions, you won't even get those opportunities. People be like, no, no, no. Then you got to work all the way around that system, work around that
which is
bottleneck.
easy. I think it's actually almost easier to work around it than be a part of it. Like, I'm not really I don't want to come off as I'm like complaining, like, oh, I'm
No,
not getting
you're
enough
not at all.
recognition. But I am. My actual thing is like more Jewish than that. It's like I'm paying taxes, and you're giving the taxes to
My
Andrew Schultz,
taxes.
and
What do
Andrew
I get
Schultz
for
gets
my
the
taxes?
yeah. I'm doing comedy and paying taxes, and then you're booking American. Like I get why they have to book sick American acts, but like, so by the way, there are other opportunities at Just for Laughs for Canadian comics where they basically perform on gala shows, and some of those gala shows end up going on the Canadian state broadcaster and stuff. And the reason those are actually important to people like me is because it's a credit for me to be able to leave the country. That's why comics. That's why I want to do it. I don't want to do Just for Laughs because I'm like, oh, finally, my fucking childhood dream. Although I loved Just for Laughs as a kid, but it's more. If I'm showing that to U.S. Customs and getting in the country, getting a visa or a green card, they're like, that's to them, that's like the pinnacle of like, he did it in Canada. He
It's
got
like a
JFL.
work permit, I guess.
Basically, and they write the JFL will write a letter for you and say like whatever, so that because that's the process to
Do
come
you
and
want to
perform. And
eventually move out of Canada?
yeah, I'm going through the process right now, and hopefully by the end of the year at the latest, I'll be able to come and do shows there.
Where do you want to move to?
Honestly, I spent 4 months in Texas in 2021 on vacation. and I'd love to. I love it there. I think it's a cool place.
Yeah.
I mean, New York's cool, like for comedy, and in LA,
Eh.
but Texas has got more going on. I mean, it's a little scarier for Canadians.
Really?
People are.
It's not scarier than New York. That's where I live. I would say
It's
like
more peaceful, actually, in that way. Like it's more peaceful, but it's just it's just mind blowing that everybody has weapons on them, like at all times. But
people have weapons on them in New York too. They're just illegal weapons.
right.
It's okay. I think like I think at first, I think the first time I held a gun, I was a little bit like, but that wears off, and then you get used to it, and then you go, yeah, these are the times we're living in because if I don't carry, then I'm just an asshole who's leaving myself vulnerable.
Is
Uh,
that true? That's what like I don't know. Like I don't know. What is it? Isn't there like a statistic that if you have a gun on you, like it's more likely like you'll get shot?
really, I'll have to look into that. But not like everyone in Texas is like whipping their guns out, going like, boop boop.
I mean, kind of.
People are not flashing their
The people
guns all
I
over. It's fun.
I mean, within get like 5 minutes of getting there, somebody like one of my friends was like, "Here's my like, you want to see my gun?"
Really? That's a good friend. He's just trying to show off
Yeah,
and impress you.
I know. I like guns. I think that I mean Canadians are a little sheltered when it comes to guns because we just don't have the same culture around them. And but a lot of people still have guns here, but it's just way more strict and kind of
Yeah.
there's like it's like sketchier to get your gun license. Like you're just like part of a government database at
Oh
that
god.
point,
Yeah,
and a
you'll
lot of
get
people
over
are like,
that. You'll get over that real quick. I think you'll be like, "Wow, freedom. This is great."
yeah.
Another reason why I can understand why you are leaving Canada is and I didn't realize how much this was going on, but basically can you talk a little bit about the Chinesing of Canada that's going on right now?
Well, yeah, like I mean, it's been going on a long time. I mean, Canada is, I mean, Toronto is very Chinese, Vancouver is very Chinese. Like, there's just, I mean, there is obviously infiltration into our government by China, and that's kind of out in the open now that China was giving a bunch of money to a foundation, like a not NGO, I think, or it's like a whatever. Or is it not Justin Trudeau? It's the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation was getting all these donations. They're basically like laundering money by being like, oh, we're buying a painting or we're gonna pay for a statue, but it's just like Chinese money and
Oh god.
basically kind of going, oh yeah. There's been other stories. I mean, Canada has actually trained Chinese troops on Canadian soil within the last like 7 years. They've like trained Chinese fighter pilots. That was like, and it's like super. These are like you can even look up these articles. There, you can actually find them in established newspapers. They're things that people want to ignore, though. They've, I mean, what else can I tell you that China's, I mean, there's all the casinos in Canada are kind of, I mean, I don't know if that's the same in the States, but they're owned by like China. They own a lot of stuff, like a lot of land and certain, parts of the country are very, like if you went to like downtown Toronto and then you drove to like Markham, which is in one of the kind of areas of Toronto, north of Toronto, which is very Chinese specifically. You'd be like, this is like a fucking other country. Like actually, like but is that a bad thing? No, it's a good, like it's just
It's not a
the
good thing.
the bad part is that China was setting up police stations in Canada to police Chinese people who were like still citizens of China, what they were doing in Canada as far as like it's communist like they just create that and they have them in New York City too.
Mhm.
So
Oh, yeah, China's I mean, I think they steal what, millions of dollars worth of IP from America every year. Just they've completely infiltrated our universities, corporations.
but it's
It's
not Chinese
disturbing.
people. It's I mean
No, the
necessarily
people,
it's
the individuals. We're talking about the CCP. Yeah, we're talking about the government.
yeah, but like that, then you'll meet like I remember I talked to this Chinese person and I was like, "What do you think about all the homeless people though in Toronto, you know, like the homeless problem, which in the States you guys have that problem too, right?
Oh
And if
yeah.
you talk to somebody from China who's cool, they'll be like, well, this woman was like, well, at least you see them. In China, you don't see them because they just fucking pick them up. They just take them. Oh, you're
Where did
homeless?
they
Boom.
go?
They take them to like concentration, like
Oh,
forced labor
you don't like
camps.
give them a makeover or something and like get them a haircut and a shower and put them back out. Just take them
No,
away.
they do like weird fucking Chinese. They make them like make keychains for like 100 years, and like all their children have to make the same keychain.
Throw them in a Nike and then a Nike factory.
Yeah, which is, I mean, at least they're getting them to work. I mean,
Yeah, that's more than our homeless are
they're
doing.
getting them off drugs and they're
I
getting them to work.
I saw a guy when I got off the subway on Monday. I was going to do my show at Compound. I saw a guy shooting something into his foot. Like he had both socks off. He was shooting something into his foot, and his guy. And I was like, boys, you better watch it. You're in danger of getting yourself on Wiki Feet. All right, you better put those socks and shoes back on.
I mean, the fentanyl problem's also like China related, potentially.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. That's sweet
But I
tea.
mean, I'm not like I want more Chinese fans, to be honest. I feel like my friends, like I don't know, like we have a whole thing in Canada with India right now where the prime minister's mad at India, and now Canadians can't get visas to go to India, which we weren't going to do anyway, but that's a thing. So that's kind of what's happening in
And the
Canada right
Indians are
now.
shitting on your beaches, and you're supposed to just be okay with that.
Correct. Yeah, I do a joke about how Indians take shits on all the beaches here, which is true. They do, and then they kind of like cover it up with the sand and they like, dig a
It's
hole and
not your
shit.
litter box, Habib. Okay, it's a beach.
Yeah, it's a. I mean, I think it's funny. Like I don't know what's grosser, like an in shape Indian taking a shit on a beach, or like you ever just see like a really fat woman come out of like a porta potty at the beach or something. You're like, that's almost worse.
I'd rather watch an in shape person do just about anything. True, because at least
I
like,
saw a fat woman come out of a porta potty with her dog after
oh
taking a big
no.
shit. She had
I
like
guess
a
it's
shih
better
tzu.
than coming out of the porta potty without your dog, but you still hear barking. A little
Yeah.
Slumdog Millionaire moment. Yeah, I very much agree with your point that you made on another podcast. Like we've gotten to a point where both in Canada and in the States, the government is now governing the minority instead of the majority, and all we want to do is simply observe and comment on reality. But if we do, we're far right extremists, we're racist, transphobes, horrible people.
I think it's a phase. I think it'll kind of end at some point. You know what I mean? Like I feel like at some point it's just gonna become that they're just like, yeah, my bad. Like I don't know. Like it has to, because first of all the people who are like trans and they're like they're not having kids and stuff, like all the like super like woke people, like that's only gonna last for so long before, because the people who are like 20 who are like, oh yeah, woke, and then they're gonna be 30 and they're gonna be like, no, that was bullshit. Like
Yeah,
the people who are 20 right now, all that, like they don't really care. Nobody who's cool gives a fuck. You know,
it's true. It's easy to
it's only
pretend care
losers.
about these things when you're a young person because it doesn't actually affect your life yet. Like I was a liberal in college because we're like, yeah, let's care about the gays, let's care about the homeless, and then you grow up. I mean, it was different. Like it
Yeah.
was nothing
I
like
don't think I was
it
ever
is
like
now.
when I was in university, we still just kind of like, I remember it was just starting and there was like a trans or like non-binary person like, I'm running for student council, like I'm gonna put non-binary washrooms everywhere, and I remember we were just like, yeah, that's dumb, and then we just like walked away. But like there was no like, America was more, Canada's only just recently become political. Before COVID, nobody gave a fuck about anything in Canada politically. Not
Wow.
like in the States where it's like, oh my God, rights and this and that. And, like nobody gave a fuck in Canada ever. Which is why, in a way, we're kind of cool. Like some people who still don't give a fuck. I mean, I only give a fuck because it fucks up my comedy.
It makes your job. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny to get pissed off about it because it affects everybody's job. It affects everybody's job.
It's true. How much longer can this like trans obsessed thing go on for? I think at a certain point, you're right. People will be like, "Yeah, we're tired of it. We get it. They're people. You want to castrate yourself? Have at it. You want to sterilize yourself? Have at it. You want to chop your tits off? Good luck." But you know what? Like that, save your own allowance money for that. Okay. I
I mean,
just get it. I
yeah.
get annoyed when it's subsidized. But again, like our tax money's going to the fucking Ukraine war, which no one supports. So
Well, all our money is basically just like worthless, and it's kind of all just made up at this point. In terms of like money being printed, both in the U.S. and Canada. Like, I mean, Canada more so, maybe. I don't know. Like our money, obviously, because our money's worth less.
it's also
Um,
Canadian.
yeah, but at one point we did have like, you know, in healthier times, it was more like 90 cents, like Canadian dollars, like not because Canada does have a big GDP, and it is still, under Trudeau, we've lost a lot of shit. Like we've fallen because we used to do all the oil and gas shit, and all the like, oh yeah, all the Canadian boys out there in the oil rig. Like we used to, like we kind of got rid of all that. Now they're like those guys are too dumb to figure out how to build a windmill or whatever the fuck we're trying to do. So, because they say that, right? They say, I don't know if they say that in the States, but they're like, we're going to transition all the people. Speaking of transition all those like miners and like guys who do oil rigs and shit. And we're going to transition them to green energy. It's like, it's
Oh
fucking,
yeah.
yeah, the guys
Good
who,
luck with that.
spend 2 weeks away from their family doing blow and fucking hookers are going to transition to figure out how to, screw in a light bulb. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
they're gonna put up solar panels.
I mean, they will, but it's they're not going to make as much money, and
It's not as
it's just
cool.
fucking stupid. It's not as cool. Nobody
No.
wants to do that.
No one
Like
wants to
you
do that.
get Chinese people to put up solar panels.
Yes, they love working. They love hard work. They attention to detail. They're very meticulous. They love sewing little things on little shoes. Patriots in Christ, it's all good. I keep telling yourself, yes, you have to be positive.
Do you think
Cannot
Indians
get
or
black pilled.
Chinese people like working harder, or
Wait.
Mexican?
Oh.
You guys have Mexicans. We don't
I
have
think they
Mexicans
work
here.
harder in different ways. I think the Chinese, like other Asians, they work hard from birth. It's like they have that Chinese work ethic, whereas Mexicans, like, they'll work their fucking ass off, but not till they're adults. Like, you know what I mean? You don't see like Mexican kids doing a roof. Like the adults work their fucking asses off and send money back to their family. Where
Mexican kid.
Chinese, well, they'll be on a fucking piano for 6 hours at 4 years old. And, so it's more ingrained, I think.
I used to actually do that because my dad
Play
plays
piano or
instruments.
roof?
My dad, no, he would force me to play. I played piano and violin, but it
Oh,
was like I
wow.
hated it. I hated it because it was me and then just all Chinese kids, and I was already racist at 5 years old. I was like, I don't like these people.
My, stepson
I'm
was in a
kidding.
my stepson was in a competition at school. It was something like they had to, with chopsticks, see how many marshmallows they could put on a plate, whatever, and he just told us this the other day. Not only did he win and get the most amount of marshmallows, 'cause we have sushi a lot, like, we eat a lot of all types of food. Not only did he win, but he beat the Asian kid, which I think is even more impressive.
I would go up against a thin Asian guy, a fat white guy. Skill of chopstick is pretty good.
Yeah, I was so proud, and they're like, "Oh, how'd you know how to do that?" And he was like, "'Cause of my dad." I was like, "You should have said 'cause my dad's Asian.' That would have been great." You should have made your class laugh.
I mean, yeah, I grew up with a lot of Asian people, and like obviously, I love it. I love all people, and like Toronto's very multicultural. We have every type of food here, and we do all the fun stuff. But yeah, no, I think you should be able to joke about things and just have a laugh. And I think Chinese people like they fucking make fun of each other and other Chinese people and Indian people make fun of. I do a joke where the Indians are like, oh my god, like if there's whites in there, like smells like head and shoulders or whatever. But they're like, like they say something though. They do, right? Like they walk into a room of white people like fucking oh my god. So, but as a joke to make their buddy laugh, you know what I mean? That's all it is. That's all they're trying to ban, and it's like that's just straight up. It's like oh, that's vicious and it's hurting people. It's like, who's it hurting? It's hurting people that are hurt all day. They're professionally fucking hurt.
Yeah.
And we, as a society, have to stop catering towards or to people that are just like, no, I don't like this. Who cares? It's a free country. Go find something you do like. Go
And this,
fucking fly it. Go fly a drone in a fucking park or something.
yeah.
Those people. Oh, I don't like this comedian. Okay, well, have you tried like going kayaking or something, or like like go stare at the fucking sun. Like
Buy new underwear. Yeah. Go for
do
a
something.
swim.
Even
There's
I
this
do that.
there's this whole kind of idea now that like you cannot make fun of a group of people unless you are part of that group of people. But I found that to be false when my buddy Jocelyn Chia, people came after her. She got canceled, lost a bunch of jobs over it because she's Asian. I think she's Singaporean or whatever. She made a joke about a Malaysian flight going down, and she tours internationally. Like she's in these Asian clubs and shit, and they canceled her over that. And she's Asian. She's like that type of Asian. So it's like the
She
woke
got
mom.
canceled in Asia.
Yes, I think they were
Well,
like,
see, they have their own type of censorship
yeah,
where it's not woke. It's just like don't do that. Like
don't
don't
make fun of
talk
our
about
shitty
the
planes. Don't make fun of
yeah.
our shitty planes that disappear. Don't make fun of our
Because
shitty country.
to that
Yeah.
that's almost like yeah, because it's just like shameful. It's just like we're embarrassed. It's like too, but like I get yeah, no people get fired. Have been getting fired for saying stuff for a long time, way before like woke. Just for different. It was just a different barometer or a different reason or like right. I
Yeah.
think
Oh, for
like I
sure. Now,
guess it was like.
they didn't call it cancel culture before. It was like, oh, I was offensive, or oh, I like.
But
But
now you just say
people are
like, oh,
emboldened.
now it's like I voted for Trump. Then it was like, oh, when Kramer just said the N-word like 1,000 times, that was
It
like, oh,
took all
that's the
that.
one.
It took so much for you to be canceled. Now it's just like, yeah, I like Trump.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So you
But yeah, but
started comedy at 19 years old, which I find incredible because it's like you're still a kid at 19. Uh, what drew you to it, and what were you doing before?
I mean, I've been doing comedy. So before that, I mean, I did acting a little bit in plays. Like I was in high school before that, so I did like I acted in like grade. We call it grade 11, 12, senior and what is it? What the fuck is it? What do you have? Junior, sophomore, senior.
Yeah,
What is it? What's the last
freshman,
year?
freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
Okay, yeah. So junior and senior year, I did plays, and
Really, what plays did you do?
one of them was like a local like play by this guy who was actually like a taxi. It's just it doesn't matter. It's just a random play about zombies that somebody from Toronto wrote that was like
Okay.
semi-successful playwright, and the second one was like student made. And then I did the notable play I did was at when I went to university was at it was called Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, but I had already started stand up at that point. But I just wanted to do stand up from like 15. I always listened to stand up. My mom like put me on to all of the stand ups. She always made me watch like she'd be like, make me watch shit I probably shouldn't have watched, but she just like George Carlin, like this is Richard Pryor, this is all this stuff that
Wow.
she just like when she was older, like my mom had me when she was 43, so she like had a kind of different parenting style.
She lived a life. Yeah. Wait, hold on. I need to find out if you ever found out who was afraid of Virginia Woolf.
I don't even know what that play. All it was like the whole play was me just like making out with. I was like 19. I'm like making out with like a third, like a 42-year-old woman the whole time.
Fun.
Yeah, it was really weird. And then like her husband was there, and his name was
Oh my
Bones.
God. He was jerking off in the back.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
That's exciting for a
My
teenager.
mom was there, but
Possibly
yeah.
not, would not be allowed today.
But
That's
I
really
got
cool
canceled.
though.
I got canceled from doing shows at university, like the university shows for like literally saying shit jokes and stuff because they were just like, "Oh, this is an open mic. I don't know if you should say that." Or I'd be like,
Wow.
or I'd
That's
make
so
jokes about
fucking
like the
gay.
professors fuck like the professor's fucking that girl or something, and like yeah, the campus shut it down.
And then so you stopped doing colleges. Okay, so your mom introduced you to all this great comedy at a young age. So what brought you to your first open mic?
I was doing monologues for this university television station that we had. Something in my fucking face is in my fucking hair.
A nose.
Yeah, Jewish nose. It was like a university television station that I was part of that I was doing monologues, and I was like, this is bullshit. I want to do actual stand up. And then I just like Googled where are the open mics, and then I found all these open mics in Toronto, and I started like I would take the train from my university town to like Toronto and do spots, and then I started doing spots in the university town, which is Kingston, Ontario, which is actually the birthplace of Tragically Hip, which is semi-famous. But anyway, yeah, so so Kingston, Ontario, and I was just doing stand up. They had a local comedy club, and like touring comics would come through. Do you know Graham K? I think he's
Yeah.
Graham K. Like I remember he would like come through, and like I bought his album, and I was like, I want to do comedy, and then I was. I think I either like opened for him one night at this like at the Kingston Comedy Club or something. I don't fucking know. But yeah, so that's how I started, and I just kept doing it. And then, but when I was like 23, I didn't get in with the clubs, and I was just like, fuck this, I'm gonna go and like make money. And like I did I would do comedy like once a month, once every 2 months for like a year and a half, and then I just like came back into it. Like I started doing commercial real estate and office leasing. Really boring, but I was just like, fuck, I need to make money, and I made some money, and then realized like, oh, I don't even want to do this at all. But I'm happy I did it. It gave me a lot of perspective, and I think if young comics listen to this, they should go get a fucking job. Like, stop being a fucking
Yes.
loser. Like, don't be a loser. Like, you can do comedy.
Yeah. Don't
Greg Giraldo
glamorize. Do not glamorize comedy-induced poverty, okay? Odds
No.
are you have a college degree, and if you don't, you can still get a job. You can wait tables, you can bartend, like
Do sales. I think sales is a good job for comics because it's like 9 to 5, sell some shitty product, and then go do comedy. Like,
it gives you so much perspective. You are more in touch with the average person because the average person is like is working a 9 to 5. You can get funny stories. You meet people, talk to people.
If you can't make fucking people at your office laugh or like,
yeah,
you know,
then
whatever,
don't do it.
it's like it's bullshit. Like a lot of people, yeah. I mean, you know, there's a lot of losers who want to do comedy, and it's like in Canada, like I'll tell comics, like you can get like Canada weed's legal. I'm like, go get a job at a fucking weed store or something, like a legal. It's like a good job here because it's like government run kind of.
Oh wow.
You know, so it's like benefits. Like they get benefits to be work at a dispensary. Go do that. It's only open till fucking 8, and then go do comedy.
Most jobs, end their day 5, 6 o'clock, and
I used to go to do spots. I would go do spots wearing my suit after work, and it's just like grind. And then that's when I was like, I quit because I'd start showing up to work at like 1 p.m. and be like, I don't want to do this. This is stupid.
Oh, yeah. This is only my second year of not having a day job. So I would have like 1, 2 jobs. Like I had a day job literally till I could not anymore, till I got fired for not getting the vaccine. I was like, well, fuck it. I guess I'm out now. So I would say, hang on to the job as long as you can, because my parents instilled a very big fear of just not having health insurance. They're like, oh, we paid for your college. You have to. I probably could have quit a lot
that's one
sooner.
good thing about Canada is that we don't have to, like, you can be broke and still get like seen at or whatever, get surgery or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still think that you have to have a mentality, even in the States, with health insurance. Like, you have to just be like, who gives a fuck? Like, you know, you get oh my god, I'm not. So what happens? You break your arm, you owe 200 grand. Who gives a shit? You go on a payment plan, you pay $300 a month because you broke your arm. It's better to pay $300 a month because you broke your arm than pay what I pay in taxes to never fucking have nothing bad happened yet. What about the fuck I'd rather just be banking cash and then be like, oh, I broke my fucking.
That's how it should be. I didn't have health insurance the past year. I just kind of laid low. I didn't go snowboarding. It was fine. Like, I saved so much money.
Yeah, I see that. But I heard there's a thing in Texas too where if you like just don't pay them. Like they're just like, like they don't really care or something.
There is a thing on your taxes where if you did not have health insurance, like they will deduct money. Like you'll be fined on your taxes.
Everybody makes it sound worse than it is. It's like, oh my god, I had a fucking brain tumor and it cost $2 million to fix it. It's like, yeah, because you're fucking alive now. So should you have died? You go to Canada and you'll get shitty healthcare and die because you'll be like, it's free. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
or you can live and owe $2 million. So what? $2 million is like what? That's like buying a fucking condo. So you can be alive. I mean, that's just my perspective. That's an outsider's perspective who doesn't have to deal with that stuff. But I do think that Americans stress over that, and it's like, who cares? So you just pay it later. What are they going to do?
We have a lot of debt in this country, and I think
people need to operate the same way that countries do. Countries operate with debt and don't give a fuck and keep buying shit and just fucking printing
terrible
money.
Advice.
Yeah, well, but it works. It works for them.
Ben, you ran for mayor. Is this mostly just for the jokes, or did you genuinely think like I really want to be mayor?
I mean, probably a couple times. I'm drunk. Probably thought, oh yeah, I want to be mayor, but not actually. Like we did it for jokes, and it was very funny, and we were just trolling all the like really woke people who were running, and it was fun, and my fans loved it, and it was just hilarious, and. Yeah,
what were some of the laws that you wanted to create if you were to become mayor?
We were gonna do no whites allowed in the bike lanes.
Okay, wow, that's fair. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we want to keep them open for everybody else to bring the white people their food. So we wanted that, and then we wanted to do no Jews allowed either because I forget why, but it's
just to protect
no Jews allowed in the bike lanes, but if a bike lane went in front of their home, they could set up a toll. That's what we said. They could set up a toll, and then we also said that we were going to do trans only trains on the subway. So if you're like there's certain cars just for trans people, and then if like you go on and you're not trans, then like a drag queen like shoots you in the head or something.
That's a great idea. I feel like we're gonna have that soon in New York.
Yeah, I mean that's what. Yeah, a lot of these ideas probably will come true, and they are racist and they are transphobic, but they're what the left is. That's why I kind of think the left is like a wolf in sheep's clothing, like but for woke people, like it's just tricking woke people into just
agreeing into communist, totalitarian type shit. Yeah, that they're gonna regret.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I forget what else. Oh, we were gonna ban Jordan Peterson from the city.
Oh, people would love that. They hate a man who makes good points.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know anybody? Canada is famous for their medically assisted suicide. Do you know anybody who's done that?
No, but I kind of wanted to do it for my mom.
For real?
Well, I don't know, cause she has dementia. So and then
oh no.
Yeah, and put her in one of these seniors homes where she just kept getting raped. So
for real?
Yeah, but not
That's
by the
horrible.
not by the people who work there, by like the other inmates or whatever, because they're all really
nursing
horny.
Home dudes are horny. This is why the STDs are such a problem.
Horny. But anyway, so I mean, not like full on rape, just a little like I don't know, whatever's going on there is very dark. But yeah, no, I wanted to put her down, but they won't let me. And like, you can only do it if you're trans.
You're like, but it's Canada. Wow.
Yeah. You can do it if like you're an alcoholic though.
And homeless, right? If you're homeless, they want
homeless,
you to do it.
If you can't pay rent, you can do it. But if you have like an actual, like if you're like suffering from something, they'll be like, nah, we'd rather you live.
And just pay us. Right, because they'll make more money off you through healthcare, I guess.
Yeah, because people like who have problems like that, like the elderly who have like dementia and stuff, they still get money every month, pensions and stuff. So then they pay taxes.
Wow, I would never move to Canada. Thank you. This is like a PSA. But I'm happy that you're gonna move here, and Texas is great. I have a lot of friends who live in Texas who moved there from New York and absolutely love it. So I'm very excited for you, Ben. I guess
Yeah.
what joke of yours have you received the most backlash from?
Probably the videos I did of me pretending to be Olivia Chow. There's the new.
Are those on your YouTube?
They are, and they're on my Instagram. They are, and they're on Twitter, I think, as well. Basically, Olivia Chow is the mayor of Toronto who actually won. And during the time that we were running, I was already saying that I was her. I was like going around being like, I believe I'm her. I think I'm her. Like, but then I started just doing the Chinese accent. Like, she kind of, I do a joke right now. I don't want to give it away, but I basically say that, she's like she doesn't have a Chinese accent. She has a retarded Chinese accent. So I basically do the retarded Chinese accent being her, and she kind of has like vaccine injured eyes. Like one of her eyes is like bigger than the other, and
Oh my I
I
love
don't know.
that.
And her mouth is all kind of like that. And so I did that a video of her just like I'm gonna make the city commune. I don't know. I made some fucking funny jokes, and there's some like crazy girl on TikTok in the States called Sugia. She's like some Korean bitch who just fucking finds shit she finds offensive and tries to get people like canceled or whatever
Mhm.
on TikTok. So she like posted my video being like, "This is fucking racist," and it was just me being like, and then yeah, and like all her fans were just like, that's who like a lot of the people who tried to get me canceled from all these venues were actually her fans.
Yeah,
So that got a lot of back, like I don't know, not really back. I guess I did get death threats or whatever, but it wasn't like all like it was just people being like, "You're a fucking racist, man. Do you even know that? Do you know how racist you are?" It's like, shut up, you fucking loser. It's like you're a loser.
yeah, and they sent that video, to a venue that had you booked?
Yeah, there was a venue. It was like a 400 or 500 seat venue, and then they were like, "Oh, we got the email and we can't do it." And then like slowly every venue that wasn't like a Yuck Yucks or like a comedy club was just like, "Oh my God, we can't do it." But all the venues who are like, "Yeah, you can do it here," they're all making more money than the other venues. Like they're all doing the cooler events, not just comedy. Like there's a jazz club that I'm playing in Victoria, BC coming up in November, and like one of the managers like messaged me or like commented on something. It was like, "I'm the man, like we love it." Like, and they do jazz. So it's like it's kind of funny how jazz isn't woke. Like jazz is not woke, basically. They're not, because what do they do? What is jazz? It's playing at a fucking wedding. They're basically like comedians, but they're just doing really shitty gigs all the time. They
Yeah,
don't give a. That's who Lenny Bruce used to party with. Was a jazz
right,
musician. That's who he used to do fucking drugs with, because so they give jazz musicians, in my opinion, probably give like the least fucks about like
probably.
comedy and like censorship and all this kind of stuff and jazz clubs, and so that's kind of a cool little thing, a little oasis of free speech. The
Yeah, and
jazz
we're
clubs.
all working the same hours, we're out with each other. That's very
Mm.
cool. Um, Other than your gig in November, what other shows do you have coming up, Ben, and where can people find you?
Hell yeah. Well, you can find me benbankas.com, benbankas.com. My Instagram, benbankas2. My first one was deleted by whoever,
What got you
the
deleted?
government. I don't know. It was during some BLM thing. I don't know. Oh, that I did it. I pissed a lot of people off during that. I remember I posted like a white square as a joke on like the black square.
That's great.
It was like the black square day, and I had a joke about that where I was like, I posted a white square, so I lost like half my black friends and all my white friends. Because like white people were more offended.
Right.
But yeah, the benbankas.com, you can find everything there. My podcast, The Bankas Show, is on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Twitter, Ben Bankas. I have shows coming up in October, Halifax, Nova Scotia. These are all Canadian dates, so I don't know how many of your fans know these places, but
Oh,
it's going to be kind
tons.
of Halifax, Nova Scotia, October 11th, 2 shows. First show sold out. October 12th, I'm in St. John's, Newfoundland. That's actually a really cool place. If you want to go to Canada and just like sidestep all the bullshit, just go to Newfoundland. It's like
Oh yeah. Okay,
they're
cool.
basically, it's basically like Ireland over there.
Nice. Do you know who
yeah,
Frankie McDonald is?
No.
He's a famous viral weatherman who lives in Sydney, Nova Scotia. He
yeah?
zooms into my Compound Media show every Monday.
Oh, that's cool.
He's very special. Okay.
Toronto on Halloween, we're doing the Halloween extravaganza. It's going to be a mix of stand-up and possibly we're going to have Olivia Chow show up to the event, and Justin Trudeau and a bunch of other people at the Halloween show.
Awesome.
And then we are going to do in November. I'm going on tour. So November 7th, Saskatoon. Or no, sorry. So November 7th, Winnipeg. November 10th, Saskatoon. November 11th. I don't even know. November 15th, Victoria, BC. November 16th, Surrey, BC. November 17th, Vancouver, BC. November 20th, Calgary, BC, and November 22nd, Edmonton. Or sorry, Calgary, Alberta, Edmonton, Alberta. And yeah, there'll be more dates. Hopefully coming to the States 2024. I can't wait to announce those dates.
Yes. That's very exciting. And let me pull up your, do I have your website? Do I have it? Did I click it away? God bless America. It's gone. I lost your, nope, here it is. Okay. Pulling up the website. Okay. Here it comes. For tickets, go to Ben's website, benbankas.com. Buy tickets.
Oh, that website.
If you're listening, it's a great website. If you're listening and you live in Canada, go see Ben live.
It was
Follow
made
him.
by a Jew.
Oh, so you know it's good.
Better be.
It better be.
I owe him a lot of money.
Ben, thank you for coming on today. It was so great to chat with you.
Thank you for having me.
You're an absolute delight and a treasure. And keep giving him hell until you can move to the US. And then I'll see you whenever you get here.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thanks to the chat, guys.